Oh, it really was. And I mean, I don't see the tradition really carrying on in the hip hop way, the same way we did. I don't think this generation really is like that's the thing. The idea of an open mic was in the age before, right before the internet. So like you would go there to get on the mic to because you didn't have anywhere else to really perform. But
Right.
now, everybody is like you just pick up your phone and just in your living room. So
Yeah, wrap into your phone, pay $15 to put it on Spotify.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And unfortunately, like you can do that, and you can have 10,000 followers or whatever, but that doesn't mean you'll have any stage presence,
Yeah.
and and it also doesn't mean you'll be actually connected to a community
Hell yeah.
because you had like we used to it's your friends you're handing the mic to, or maybe your enemies or whatever. Just
People you know
it's like
from the scene,
the
though, for sure. Yeah.
people exactly. There's this invisible energy, the hip hop connection that would happen in a room that like it's just the like it was difficult and some people couldn't be there because they couldn't bus in from Scarborough or Vancouver or whatever. So
Yeah.
that it was limited in that sense. But at the same time, we lost the community. Like, sure, we have the convenience of the phone,
Yeah.
but we don't have the connection. So
Yeah, man. I hadn't thought about that with like ciphers, how I've always been to, yeah, knowing the other people, at least a few of the other people in the cipher. Like there's always, a few people you haven't seen or whatever, but yeah, that I think is like the actual face-to-face community building moment is when you're passing the mic with each other.
it's really special, and I like there's positives and negatives to every era, and I'm not going to say that it's not good now that it's still going in whatever incarnation. But
Yeah.
will say that the kids don't know what they're missing. That's what I will say, and I don't even feel like an old man saying it because like
I mean,
it's like
there are like, so out here in Alberta, right? Like I was in Edmonton for 10 years or whatever, and I know that up there's still, in fact, there are 3 different freestyle ciphers every week that happen in Edmonton.
what
Yeah, and are like well attended by people. And I had somebody telling me like that it was annoying to him that there are 3 different ones and that they should all just have kind of one hub or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, man. I think like if there are people showing up to all 3 of them, let it rock. Maybe it's kind of different crowds or whatever. But I know there's also a cipher that goes on in Calgary, so I don't know if it's a prairie thing or what, but yeah, there's a regular Calgary cipher where and it's not like a bunch of old heads at any of these ciphers I'm talking about. It's 20 somethings who have just picked up the mic kind of and are trying to make a name for themselves out there barring up. It's like, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love to hear that. That's beautiful. And I mean, Toronto obviously has the benefit of having massive artists come here constantly. So
Yeah.
the scene has evolved into something else. And like 50 Cent is coming here twice this summer.
Right.
Like this is one of the few cities on his final tour, and he's coming here because it's one of the top 5 cities in all of North America. So like
Do you buy that final tour thing? Anytime I see somebody announce their final tour, it's like, man, you're gonna be around for another 40 years, 50 Cent. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think he'll
Exactly.
be
It's
back.
like,
But
yeah, you're marketing that now. You take a 10-year break, and then you have your comeback reunion tour if you really need the money, or if you're really bored, or whatever.
I guess maybe
So
he doesn't.
yeah.
Now he's doing all sorts of TV stuff and everything. So yeah, maybe he's hanging up the mic, but I don't know. I still feel like everybody comes back. There's always we're putting the band back together moment to sell more tickets coming up sometime.
Exactly. And it's like, if that's how if he wants to like market that and do his thing, be like, I had a good run in music, but it's a different generation, and now I'm a big TV mogul, and I'm gonna sell this. I mean, hey, it's working really well. But like, he's coming back here because Toronto's a massive city, and like, there's certain traditions that just don't exist anymore, kind of because of so many of the big artists here. And it's not even to take away from them. It's just like Toronto's evolved. Like, honestly, it's not even I've been to New York 3 times this year, and there's a lot of you can't even buy mixtapes there anymore at all. Mix CDs at all.
Yeah.
You can't anywhere. And when we were talking to one of the few guys, he was selling some mixed DVDs because me and the dude from Ottawa were looking for live hip hop concerts. We're like, we're in New York. Do you have any live shows at the at the Apollo or at at the
Right.
Tunnel or whatever? And he's like, you want mixed CDs and live DVDs? This was his exact quote. You got to go back to 2014.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I was like, that's real, dude.
Damn. I mean, maybe it's just because CDs, like nobody even has them anymore. I know, like, talking to artists, like people talk about, like, yeah, they don't even have CD players in their cars and stuff these days. So, like, do you press CDs? Do you just put it out free and sell T-shirts? Like, well, yeah. But everybody has a different strategy there, man.
All of that, exactly. And then, like, there's, it's like nothing's really right or wrong. It's just like rap is out of control, and it's wild and wonderful and weird.
Hell yeah.
But yo, are we officially, are we on?
As we were talking there, I was like, well, we might as well be having this on. There's nobody really in my chat right now, but yeah, that we have been talking. You're on screen and your mic is live, so don't say anything too out of pocket. But before we actually get like really going, I'll do a little bit of an intro and tell people about the show and stuff. But once Mighty Rhino gets here, we can kind of reset and do that or whatever. Have you talked to him lately? Do you know?
I talked to him yesterday or the day before. I didn't talk to him today, and I actually haven't heard from him. So, I don't know if he's busy today or if something happened tonight. But yeah, I was trying to find a homie.
Okay, well,
I hope all is well with him.
Yeah, I hope he's doing good. Maybe he'll pop through. I don't know, but I sent him the link. It doesn't look like he's seen it on IG. I sent that a couple hours ago when I sent it to you, and some other promo that I put up. It doesn't look like he saw earlier in the day. So
me too. Like I sent him a reminder too. I sent him a reminder like 10 minutes ago. Like, I love you, homie. We're about to go on the radio. Hope all is well. And yeah, I don't know if he got it. So
okay, it's all good. I hope he's doing well. And I'd always be happy to reschedule with him if another night works better for him or whatever. But I'm also happy just to talk to you and have you here, man. So yeah, if you want, we can get this thing going. I don't know. Should we give him more time? I don't know what the play here is really.
I got so much to talk about. Like that. Like, why don't we just get started with myself, and then when he comes in, we can just switch over to him.
That sounds like a good idea to me too. So just to put a nice start on this thing, welcome aboard everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is a interview series I've been doing called Fly in Formation. It's a spin-off from my mix show that I do every week with DJ Baggy Lean, where we play our favorite independent new release hip hop every week. I do the picks, he does the mixing, and these Fly in Formation interviews I've been doing to try to just kind of get a better idea of some of the scenes across the country and the artists who make them up, learn a little bit more about the different cities, because out here on the prairies, like, I'm not touching down in many of these other Canadian cities, but I do pay a lot of attention online. So it's part of that whole thing we were just talking about with hip hop kind of moving online a little bit, but still definitely it's nice to be able to talk to people on a one-to-one basis like this. So I saw the Zoom technology emerging and was like, well, it's time to get on this bandwagon. Let's start talking to artists. And people have been happy to come on and talk about their art. I've been really enjoying the conversations and picking up jewels and just kind of soaking up game as we go. But hopefully other people are learning stuff too. So tonight I have Mindbender, who's longtime Toronto-based MC, legend on the scene, honestly. A lot of people who I talked to, through the course of the last few weeks have been like, oh, you got Mindbender? You're going to sit down with him? So props for coming through and joining me, man. How you doing?
Thank you. It's an honor. I'm doing good. I'm definitely been through a wild year, and Very happy. Happy to actually, I got some roots out in Alberta. I spent a lot of time in Edmonton when I was younger, and Calgary is a very special city in my career. If we get into uh, storytelling, I can
That's
have a really
that's
cool
what we're
Calgary
here for.
story.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a story about Calgary. Honestly, I was gonna just open up by asking you, to take us way back. Like, when was it in life that you knew that hip hop was, something you fucked with and something you wanted to do for your life? You've been doing this for a while now, man.
Actually, yeah. First, we can swear.
Oh yeah, yeah. Feel free. Yeah, we're
Okay,
not on the
okay.
radio. This audio will be put after a mix on mixcloud.com/Doobyis, where people can find
Okay,
the After the Smoke is Clear archives. So yeah,
okay.
yeah. Feel
So,
free.
because at the end of my first song in 1994 that I recorded in Ottawa, I screamed "motherfucker," and I love to swear here and there, but I'm also very much full of love and kindness and compassion. But I love freedom.
Hell yeah.
To answer your question, I knew hip hop was my thing, my language, my religion, my culture, my God and my devil in Edmonton, actually, around 1984, 1983, is when I heard the message. I was living in Edmonton. I was like 7 years old, and my big brother was part of a breakdance crew. And actually, Rocksteady crew came to Edmonton to dance at a place called Sports World, which
Wow.
was
Man, so
like
last
this.
week I was talking to, maybe 2 weeks ago now, I talked to Arlo Maverick, who just did a documentary about early B-boy crews in Edmonton in like the early 80s. So do you know
Wow.
the name that your brother, like the name of
I,
the crew?
you know, I actually have asked my brother, and he's told me, and I gotta remember it because he told me like a decade ago. This is my big brother. He doesn't do dancing anymore. This was like 40 years ago, I guess. So
Yeah.
like, the crew was real. They were actually the top crew in the city. There's some pictures of them
The
dancing.
Untouchable crew?
It might be. I don't think their name was that long.
There's a documentary called
Uh,
The Untouchable Crew that's out on YouTube that you should check out after this if you're interested in that early B-boy Edmonton history, because that's Arlo Maverick's new documentary that he was here to
uh,
plug. Yeah.
I need to see that. That's amazing because I was in that. I saw those days. That's my childhood. And I went to Sports World, which was near Belvedere Station, which we're near the Edmonton Eskimos used to play.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist anymore. But I go by there and I'm like, yo, there used to be a roller rink there that hip hop used to happen there in the early 80s in Edmonton.
Yeah.
I used to see breakdancing and roller skating there. That's like my childhood memories.
My
And
friend Kaz Mega, his dad was the DJ at that place, so I've heard lots of stories about there. I mean, I wasn't around in Edmonton back then, but I've heard lots of
I, I
stories.
I love to hear there's more people who talk about it because that is fundamental Canadian hip hop history.
Hell yes.
Fundamental. And so I mean I'm just to answer your question, I heard the message and I'm like, yo, man, broken glass everywhere, people pissing on. I'm like, yo, that's so I was painted a picture in my mind of what New York was like, and I'm living in Edmonton in '83, and I'm like, wow, this music is awesome because I can smell New York and feel New York through this song, and like this is awesome. So I've been, and ever since, like hip hop is my little way of perceiving reality.
Hell yeah. Well, and I mean the relatable aspect to it, I think, is something that translates beyond New York, right? Like everybody has seen that inner city type of lifestyle just to various degrees in whatever city we live in, and I think even more so these days, with the opioid epidemic being everywhere, and just the inner city life is everywhere. Like here in Lethbridge, we only have 120,000 people, but there's a lot of kind of culture shock as some of those like big city problems are coming to small town Lethbridge.
Real,
Yeah,
that's real.
yeah, man. So I think it's important that kind of hip hop has some like positivity in it to kind of, I don't know, represent for people who otherwise just kind of get shit on a lot by popular culture. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. When I first moved
Blame.
down here, man, I was working with homeless people making hip hop, and some of the stuff that they were saying was just like so eye opening and so
Yeah.
easy to relate to. Even though like I've never lived on the street, you know, thankfully, but it really has a power to tell stories and bridge a lot of gaps that way. So you know, that's always been my favorite thing about hip hop. But the lyrics
It's
really
yeah.
lend to it, right?
That's it. Like it's really ghetto folk music. It is really oppressed people's folk music, and it's their infinite, eternal, one of their eternal tools of empowerment. And
Yeah.
it's like it was like psychological empowerment in the beginning, but now it is actual economic empowerment. And when I came up, my mom was like, "Oh, you know, this rap career, it won't really lead anywhere. You know, become a lawyer, doctor." Like you can't tell a kid that nowadays. Like you, any kid who's like, "Hey, I want a music career," the parent will be like, "Well, you have to just realize there's a lot of competition,
Yeah,
but you can become a millionaire through this job." Many,
definitely.
many, many people have done it, and you can't even say people from Canada can't do it. Like in my generation, it was, you know, I'm still part of, but you know, in my young generation, when I was 14, 16,
Yeah.
you know, 18. So it was difficult. But now, YouTuber, musician, DJ, dancer, what like a graphic designer,
So many lanes. Yeah,
like
totally.
you want a video, like it'll be like, yo, you have a tangible, physical, lucrative career doing this, coming from Canada.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so
definitely.
like
And
I
a
mean,
lot of people
yeah.
kind of overlook that, like, you don't necessarily have to reach 50 Cent selling out Toronto twice in the same weekend status to make a
No,
living off of music, right? Like,
no, and it's probably better that you don't.
yeah,
It's
who
probably
wants that level of fame, right? That would be terrifying to not be able to walk down the street without everybody recognizing you,
yeah,
honestly.
like you know that I hear those lines when in the super duper levels of fame. It stabs me because I feel like I have the potential to be a superstar. I sincerely do, and I won't be humble about it anymore. I've been quiet, but like at the same time, like I can still walk around. Like the King of Queen Street was titled because I didn't make that title. The people gave me that title, and I couldn't walk down Queen Street without people interrupting me and saying hi. Actually,
Man,
one of the producers was like, "Yo, man, you're like the King of Queen Street. I've been trying to tell you this story for 5 minutes, and you got interrupted 3 times." So that's like shout out to Lucius. So that's why like I have a tiny bit of hip hop fame, but like I think about you know, Mariah Carey was like, I own my only private time is when I'm in the bathroom. And like, you
yeah.
know, Eminem on his new album goes, I can't even go to Target anymore and just walk through a mall. I can't
No,
even
he's
just
got to hide in
I
his castle. It's a good thing he's got enough money to
exactly.
buy that castle, because yeah,
You
can't
have
go
money
down the
for
street.
10 lifetimes, but now you just can't even like walk to the store to buy a bag of chips.
I
Like,
mean, I
wow.
guess it's a different thing in your own neighborhood, right? Like you said, not being able to walk down Queen Street without people recognizing you, which is like the epitome of what an MC kind of should be, in my opinion, right? Like you're supposed to be talking for your community. You're supposed to be
Yes,
representing for the people around you or whatever. Otherwise,
that's
like,
real.
yeah, otherwise what are you doing with that microphone? But
Yes, I agree.
obviously you have that support, man. Can we talk about that project you put out? It dropped early July, right?
July 1st, 2023, on the 50th anniversary of hip hop,
Dope.
and there's 50 tracks on it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's called The King of Queen Street. And
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, okay. And how long were you working on that? How long does it take to put a 50-track album together?
9 months. I just said yo because I just got a pop-up message from Ernie Panicoli, one of the guests on the album, as we were speaking. So that was just shout out to Ernie.
So I actually
This
wanted to
might
mention him too, because I know of him from, you know, he's come through Edmonton quite a lot. Back when I used to live there, he'd like drop into the downtown ciphers at Festival Square and stuff. And he was always like kind of guest of honor status or whatever, you know, legendary hip hop photographer. For people who don't know who Ernie Panicoli is, I might be messing up his last name. Sorry, but
no, it's kind of, that's it. That's it. I got his books around here somewhere. Like I've got so many books.
yeah, I
Hold
got
on.
one over on the shelf too. Hip hop books are my thing, man. I'm trying to build the hip hop library. You know.
I got to do this then. This is one of my stacks.
Yeah.
One of my many, many, many stacks. I thought I had Ernie's book in here, but like,
Can I ask you just off the top of your head, what's your favorite hip hop book, or what's not necessarily favorite? You don't have to put it above all the rest, but just you got any name drops that people should read if they're looking for hip hop reading?
you are. Oh, that's so hard, man. That's people think that's an easy question. Like, I love books so much. Like, here's some of a whole bunch of my books. Oh man. Well, here's the Ernie book. Everyone's got to have the Ernie book if they don't have it. It's one of the greatest.
That's the one I got over there on the shelf.
It's one of the greatest hip hop history books to ever exist. But I'm gonna pull out something really weird because I like to go deep. I mean, I could say like the Wu-Tang Manual because that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good read. Yeah.
Yeah, if people can find this book, I promise your mind will get blown to places it's never been.
Is that about Tupac, who killed him?
Tupac 187, The Red Knight, with contributions from former LAPD Wallace case the detective Russell Poole,
right,
and R.J. Bond, who are some of the OGs in the world for any Tupacologists out there. I am very much a Tupacologist. So Tupac 187. There's a theory in this book that I've never read any other place in the world, and it's so next level that I will not even speak about it in public.
I think Detective Poole also has a book called like Notorious COP, and that's the one that I have by him. But
yeah, R.I.P. to Detective Poole, I love him, and fuck the fuck the FBI. I kind of think y'all killed him in the office, but whatever.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not going to put a finger on who exactly did it or whatever. But there was something dirty going on there with the LAPD and the whole what is it, the Rampart District or something like that.
The Rampart scandal was that was wild.
Yeah, man, the LAPD is dirty as hell. So I'm with you on that one for sure.
Doesn't get any dirtier. Gangs wish they could be that dirty.
Right, exactly. Biggest gang on earth, that one.
Biggest gang on earth. But anyways, back to the King of Queen Street. Yeah, Ernie's on it. I think it might be the first hip hop album to have Ernie Panicoli speak on it. And this dope producer from the group Diamond Sun.
I feel like I might be able to dig one up that has Ernie on it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I feel like I've heard of him talk on somebody from Edmonton's album. I'd have to look.
Really?
I might be able to send you a link after if I do some digging and asking around.
If that does exist, you would be like literally schooling me, because it's not to say that Ernie didn't say that this is the first rap album I've ever been on, but he was like, he presented the idea and I was like, hell yeah, because we've been friends for like a decade plus. Like we go way back. So I was in New York in February to see Nas at Madison Square Garden. I've seen Nas maybe 12 or 13 times, but I wanted to see a concert. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a good life.
He was supposed to be at Rock the Bells 07 and he didn't show up in San Francisco. Him or MF Doom, man. I was fucking pissed. I got to see Wu-Tang, but I mean, and a bunch of other legendary acts too that day, but goddamn, both Nas and MF Doom no showing.
Those guys are mysterious dudes. Yeah, that sucks.
Definitely jealous.
It's which is why I gotta be sharing some of my footage soon. I got tons of footage, but like, so what was I saying? Like
that you'd seen Nas 12 times. And I think we were talking about Brother Ernie before that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was at Madison Square Garden. So I was in New York about to see Nas, and then Ernie was like, yo man, like, you're doing a new album, like, yo man, would you mind if I just drop some jewels on it? And I'm like, Of course, I would love that. I'd be honored. I'd be incredibly, incredibly blessed to have your voice and wisdom on it. So he blessed the album so fantastically. Also, Chuck D is on it, and he blessed the album in a beautiful way, just on the strength with pure love. And also Cardinal and Maestro are also on it. So there's so many super special people,
Some
and
big names on there for sure, and you know, Canadian who's who, really. Like, to have that come together like that is pretty legendary, honestly, man. So I'm looking forward to getting to listen to the rest of it. Like I was telling you before we started the interview, I slept this summer, so it hasn't even been played on ATSIC. I'm gonna have to circle back. It's only been 2 months, so it's still, I'm gonna say that's new release still, but you know, we'll get it onto the mixes coming up here, man, for sure.
thank you. Yeah, go on. Yeah, man, what's up? Anyway.
Who produced beats for it, dude? Do you make beats? Who's doing beats?
Oof. I do make beats, but I didn't make any beats for this album. Shout out to the producer list, because we were basically dreaming of making like a Toronto hip hop Illmatic in a way, and I kind of think we surpassed that. Not to say that this is bigger than Illmatic, but the way that Illmatic is based around like the core three producers, Pete Rock, Primo, and Q-Tip,
Yeah.
and Large Professor. We kind of went in it with this idea. So the first three producers was like Socrates. Socrates was number one. Called him first. I was like, I would love 3 Socrates songs or something, and him guesting on something. That dream came true, and I love those songs. Those songs are timeless, and they will demolish and impact the world in due time. So it was Socrates, Tone Mason, because I've been friends with the Tone Mason homies for so long. We'd never rocked together. We finally got to rock and make some amazing songs. And then a bunch of Rich Kid songs, because I just love Rich Kid forever, and was like, I'm rocking his beats again. I made Jupiter with him in 2015, and so it was those three, and then some other producers just came into the orbit. Tough Dumpling dropped some amazing beats. Rich Kid. Let me
I think
see.
I saw Navi the North on there.
There's a couple Navi the North beats. There's Eternia got a guest appearance. Shad got a guest appearance. Some beats from why is my brain blanking?
Because there's 50 songs, man. It's got to be tough to remember everybody who was involved. That's crazy.
I mean, I do remember. It's just like we got some grassroots beats on there. Like, it's so good to get grassroots on there. Like, I mean, I do remember everything, but to be honest, yeah, and I won't talk about it too much at all. But yeah, my mad love to my brother Conspiracy. He walked across the rainbow, breakdanced across the Rainbow Bridge on July 7th. So that
Rest
is
in
the
peace,
reason
man.
why.
Sorry for your loss, honestly. And I did want to share too that because I was aware that that was your brother. I did want to share that a couple episodes ago, I was talking to Epic, who's an Edmonton-based MC, and
Yes.
Thomas Quinlan from Han Solo was in Twitch chat, and he told me that I should ask Epic for a story about Conspiracy. So on that interview, Epic talks and tells a story that was, I don't know, pretty touching, I think. That was, it was just a nice little slice of time that nobody else had ever really heard about, and I was really happy he shared it with us here. So you know, that your brother's memory lives on for sure, man.
It will live on forever. He is a Canadian old dirty bastard plus MF Doom plus Conspiracy times Supreme, everything. He's such a special human, and I look forward to hearing that story. There's stories that I have, and then there's stories, you know, when he moved out west and hooked up with some of the West Coast homies. And so yeah, I'm just saying that to say, like, I got the news about his transition like right after the album dropped. So we had a video filmed for the Love That Love produced, but right after that I was like, I can't. The whole album, I mean, the whole summer I did not promote anything. I've been mourning, I've been resting, grieving, and reflecting and stuff. And it's been good. It's been special. And yeah, I still feel his spirit. And yeah, so that's kind of really why that kind
definitely
of
something
explains why.
like that'll put something like promotion to the back burner. I think
Yeah,
everybody
it's like
understands that. Yeah, for sure.
I haven't this is to be honest, I haven't talked about the album in a couple of weeks, and I'm like I listened to it, of course, a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't really been really pushing it.
Thinking
And
about
this
it
it's
or
the
how to
begin
promote. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, in 2 days I got to go to my brother's place and collect some of his things. So I'm still dealing with it, and it's priority one. So it's special, it's powerful. I want to carry on his memory and his and the legacy of Supreme Being Unit and Mindbender and Conspiracy. So yeah, that's kind of where most of my head is at. But the album is still it's timeless, and yeah.
Can I ask you just with an album that's 50 tracks long, man, like do you even try to make it something that's kind of like cohesive? Like cohesive is a word that we throw around a lot when we're talking about people's albums because it's something that people try to do with an album, like keep it all on the same, not necessarily even topic, but vibe. But with something 50 tracks long, I feel like you've got to cover every emotion a human can have in there someplace.
I'm glad you said that. And this is the beginning of the album promotion cycle, but I sincerely believe I want this to be put up, and I don't have any reason to, with all due respect, I feel like I've earned the right to say a few things. And I believe that this is one of the greatest Canadian rap albums of all time.
Hell yeah.
If some people, whether if it becomes, it might be somebody's number one, whatever. If it's somebody's top five, that's great. I think it is a masterpiece. It's fantastic, and it is cohesive. There is 22 tracks on one side, 28 tracks on the other side. There's one side Queen Street East, one side is Queen Street West. There are
Okay.
songs that only have Queen Street East references on that side, and there's a message between the first song and the last song. There is so many subtle little connections, and also it's a journey. It's two journeys actually. So if you listen to it all at once, it's its own linear path, which is something that albums don't really have that much anymore.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to The Chronic or Ready to Die or Death Certificate, Death Certificate has an arc. It's you start in jail and it's the dark side, and then the B side is the light side, and like it has a trajectory. It's like a movie, beginning, middle,
Right.
end. So this album, it really has that. There is songs where I talk about me, and then I start talking about the city, then I start talking about dating in the city, and it starts talking about, carrying on your dreams, and then starts talking about addiction, and it talks about I barely am talking about myself. I'm not talking about Mindbender is dope. I'm talking about life,
Yeah.
talking about emotions. There's a song about closure, song about death, song about, family. There's a song about shitty fathers. Like it's all very topic based. There's a song about childhood. So it's
Even as I
all
said it, I wondered like maybe kind of covering all the bases is a theme, like having a bit of everything is a concept in itself.
it is. And I do it's like it's not 50 songs, it's 50 tracks. So it's like, it's actually about 21 songs. And then the other parts are little snippets and statements and little kind of ear candy just to keep things interesting. So like it'll be like a 1 minute beat, and the little things, it's like a minute interlude where I'm talking with Ian Kamau and Shad and Norman Otis Richmond, and we're just
Kind of
talking
more
about
conversational skit things, eh? Not necessarily skits, but yeah, okay. Um, dude, oh shit, we still there? Okay, yeah, it looks like you're back.
yeah, I'm back. Somebody's buzzing into my apartment. Yeah, my lover is coming in. Actually, somebody who is on the back of the album cover. So shout out to all my friends who support. But yeah. So like it's just I think it might.
No, buzzing again. We can always go back through. I'll just edit those chunks out. That's easy mode.
Okay, sorry about that. I think that.
No, no worries at all, man. Honestly, I try to keep these things like casual and just pretty not strict or whatever. If shit goes wrong, it goes wrong. I've had a lot of interviews where I forget to unmute the other person's mic. I think I managed to unmute you at the proper time this time. So that's a bonus. But yeah, this is the independent podcast grind is real.
Yes. Hey, thanks for doing it, man. Because honestly, I need to get. I had a shout out to my homegirl Sunny D, who was part of She Style when I did the open mic. It was an all ladies open mic, and she's like, "Yo, you need to do a podcast." And I know I need to do one, man. I am sitting on tons of hip hop jewels, and there's no point in them just collecting dust here. So it's dope to see you do your thing. And
dude, I love that sentiment. I've been talking about. I saw somebody online talking about how like he's got a nice camera, but if he goes out to shoot a show and nobody's paying him for it, he said that footage is going to end up on my hard drive and nobody will ever see it. And I shed a single tear because to me that's just like the opposite of what we should have as an ethos in this world, is like share the dope shit with one another, get it out to the world. Everybody wants to be paid, of course. Get paid for your gigs. If somebody's asking you to come shoot photos of their show, make sure they're going to pay you and all that. But I think like earlier even you said that you have a bunch of show footage that like you need to start sharing, and I was like, hey, this is a good guy right here.
I have to, man. I found this flyer. I have footage from this flyer show. Def Jux 2006 Canadian Music Week.
Oh,
this is one of the greatest shows to happen in Canadian hip hop history. I found this mint condition flyer. On this show, Aesop Rock, Mr. Liff, Camu Tao, Cage, Big Wiz, LP, and Mindbender.
That's a heavy lineup.
Dio Incognito, DJ Grouch, and DJ Fate. It was so fantastic. I was on stage and I have the entire show. I'm standing beside Camu Tao and I videotaped the entire thing. I'll never forget. He was wearing an all white outfit and he was singing, rapping, punk rocking, screaming. And I was transfixed on him like, this is spectacular. Oh my God. Oh my God. And like, I have the tape right here. I'm like, I got to get it to LP. I got to get it to the world. And like, I there's no reason. I've had it since 2006. Like, what's the point of sitting on it?
I have homies with footage like that, and I always tell them just to share it too. Like, what is the point of having it just rot away on a hard drive? I agree with you completely.
I just got to get a mini DV, and it'll be coming soon. Especially this hip hop's 50th anniversary has really inspired me to really start sharing my stuff. So it's coming. It's coming.
Hell yeah. So when I talked to the Mighty Rhino, actually, he told me, then the reason that I linked up with you is because Rhino was like, well, we're going to start doing a podcast together. Let me see if we're doing one that night. And then I was like, oh, well, if you guys are doing a podcast together, you might as well be co-guests together. You can both come on together. So we tried to set that up. But can you tell us about, like, is that in the works? Is that the podcast you're talking about?
I want to do that so bad. I honestly talk to Rhino almost every day. We have sometimes where we talk like 3-4 days in a row out of 5, and straight up, we'll talk for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and it's just high level, super nerd hip hop conversation. Yeah. And we're just dropping hella jewels, song content, wisdom, life lessons, cool perspectives, social commentary. And we've been doing this I've been friends with him for like 15 years plus. But like after this year or after the last little while, we were just talking on the phone and I was just like, dude, man, our conversations are better than Drink Champs, better than the Joe Budden podcast. I know that this is better than what I'm reading on Hip Hop DX. I'm like, man, fuck this, man. We got to do our own damn thing. Like, yeah,
Dude, I looked at podcasts like that and was like, how come there's no podcast like that but with all these Canadian guys. Like,
Uh-huh.
how come there's no long form podcasts with all the legends who have been on the scene up here for the past 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you know? And so I just started doing it, man. And I mean, yeah, it's been fun, but it's starting to gain some traction. I mean, hopefully I can continue to develop and the community continues to build or whatever, but I'm starting to see more people come through, you know, chat and stuff. Shout out to Skizza, who just hit follow on on Twitch.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, it's big to try to build that type of community, because I feel like the scene is very disconnected. People in Winnipeg know, you know, 5-10 artists from Winnipeg that get support from Winnipeg, but they might not be known when they go to tour outside of Manitoba or whatever, right? So I just want more people paying attention to the scene across the country, and even as far as like to get inspiration, to know that there are this many dope motherfuckers across the country, you know, like just for me paying attention every week, like it keeps me so inspired. It keeps me like trying to up my pen game to be, you know, on par with other people. It feels like I used to feel like back in the day when I was in high school, buying, you know, a couple albums every week and then running around listening to that album and reading the liner notes and trying to find more people, right? Like,
Oh, that's the gold, man. I love
yeah,
the
and
way you're
I'm back
talking.
to it, man. I fell off of it for like 10 years through my 20s and just kind of like moved away from the culture, and then
Yeah.
got this opportunity to do ATSIC and was like, you know, how could I not? I have too many friends whose music I could be playing. But in retrospect, it's like the guys who I knew before ATSIC compared to all the people who I know and know of, especially now, it's crazy, man. There's so much talent coast to coast. So, you know, I think bringing it together is something that a podcast has the ability to do or whatever, and getting this long form content and just having conversations like this with people is super important for documenting the culture, which is super important to do, you know, to document the culture and pass on knowledge. So yeah.
That's what I really love to do. I have flyers, magazines, CD. Like I never threw out a single one of my formats as it's evolved over the years. And I'm doing like the Reminisce show with my homie Logic. Shout out to him. We do that, but it's not. It's like it's more community based. It's not. We do some music and stuff, but we'll also talk about movies and culture and fatherhood and family and stuff. So it's not 100% hip hop and music based, even though it's very hip hop informed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Right.
you know, I've got just memorabilia. Like, you know, I'm not showing the memorabilia on that show, so I should just. I'm like, I'm at a point. Hip hop just turned 50. There's no reason why I should be sitting on this anymore. And you know, I really do want to share it. And I'm so with you about documenting, because that's why I videotape everything,
Well,
take pictures of everybody.
and
And that's
also
why I was
like
a
in
journalist.
social media age, we're all supposed to be doing like content, right? It's all about creating content, putting out all this content every day. And like, what's better content than clips from interviews, or, you know, like for you could be doing just clips from your podcast where you're talking about, you know, whatever piece of paraphernalia or whatever, and like just show that shit off. Showing off that flyer you just showed us makes a beautiful Instagram clip, you know. I don't know why more people aren't doing that type of shit, just to share the roots, you know. So
Oh no, I really, you know, I'm doing a bit of mourning still, and I want to be honest and honor that. I don't want to rush back into work, but I was like gonna sit in my house all summer and just kind of just take care of my soul. But I was like, you know what? Run DMC is doing their last show in New York, so I dragged my ass to New York, and I was front row, and I saw Run DMC, Snoop, Nas, Lil Wayne, T.I., Lauryn Hill, all these people at Yankee Stadium. And I saw Run DMC's last show, and it was incredibly inspiring.
yeah.
I was wearing a jersey inspired by Conspiracy 2, which was really dope. And I got to go to Sedgwick Avenue the next day and see Public Enemy and KRS-One on hip hop's birthday in New York. So
Wow.
that was fantastic. But like, I was like, what is the point of like sitting on all this stuff? So I've been cleaning up my house, getting ready to just get, you know, bring in some conspiracy stuff. And I've been finding some gold. This is the
Oh,
Source magazine. This is the
Man,
Source
you hurt my
magazine.
soul. I threw my entire Source and Double XL collection away. I used to have stacks of those things, man. Just stacks of them.
I am feeling pain in my body.
I
I
mean,
don't.
first I ripped them all apart and posted up posters all around my, old house and shit. But yeah, the collection has went the way of the trash bin over the years as I've moved from place to place or whatever. It's yeah, it hurts my soul. But
I dragged them. I had boxes. I dragged when Tribe Called Quest broke up. I dragged all my magazines all over the place, and
wow,
Kanye West Rolling Stone cover.
yeah.
This one, like when I found a bunch of. I had the one where the Vibe magazine, right where Biggie Smalls was shot in '97, and I had that somewhere around here. But I also found this, which is one of my greatest possessions, which is a Source magazine from 1992. In
Holy, yeah, that's before I was buying them. Holy,
yeah, like this is, I don't even know how much this is worth, a lot of money, but I wouldn't even ever think of selling it. But like it,
when
going
did the
through
Source
it,
start publishing? Do you know offhand? Like,
88,
okay,
88, and yeah, so I've been just finding gold, and I'm just like, why not share it? So yeah, I am. It's, and whether I am also been like, all right, maybe people might not fuck with my music as much as I want them to, but if people fuck with me because they see my hip hop archives, or hey, my porn, or some other thing that I do, my journalism, whatever, that's
yeah.
life.
Yeah, hey, any way that you can bring the fans back to you, bring not even fans, people back to you. That's what it's about. Multiple different lanes doing multiple different things, and they all lead back to the same place. So, yeah, good strategy there. I think the multi pronged attack, man. Can I ask you, did you record in studios, or were you home recording, or what was the process for recording the album like?
We did the whole thing in the Slept On Studios, which is Rickshaw Studio. So we did it all like on Eglinton, the same studio, the whole 9 months, which was great.
Nice.
It was kind of cool because there was this weird spell where it rained for, I swear, like 20 days straight. And everybody in Toronto was complaining, like, oh my God, there's this weird, I mean, it's obvious global warming nature imbalance. It was just unnatural.
Yeah,
But
something's
it was like,
wonky lately. Yeah.
yeah, it was like literally 20 days of straight gray rain. But I was like, this got me so focused on sound. I got nothing to do but go in the studio, and like we made so much music. So
Yeah, good time to be in a
so
mic booth too, because otherwise summer sessions can often be, sweaty in a mic booth.
oh
If it's nice and
yeah.
cool outside, then that's a good time to be in recording for sure. Can I ask, what was that your ideal studio situation, or given all the money and all the time in the world, would anything have looked different?
Um, it was pretty good. I've recorded in a variety of studios and situations over the years. It was pretty good. I love his dogs and stuff, but once in a while, like there was once in a while there was a little like pet disruption, or one of the neighbors was kind of being shitty for one of the months that we were recording, and we had to like worry about that for a second, but we got through it. It was mostly good. And I'm not going to say the person's name, but there is one person who was around that was not contributing to the anything.
Okay, see,
And
that kind of plays into what I was trying to kind of get at, is like some artists like being alone in the studio, or being around as the beat is made and they're sitting there writing, or some guys like being in the studio with their whole crew, and it's like a party atmosphere until it's time to go jump in the booth. So like, where do you fall on that equation? Do you like
yeah, no,
quiet?
this wasn't like, this wasn't like the Infamous or the Chronic, where there's 19 people in the booth, everyone's drinking and smoking. No, this wasn't that. This was mostly me by myself, rewriting and re-recording verses 20, 25, 30 35 times, just redoing a single bar, like just sweating, and just me and Patrick alone, just killing songs.
Grinding.
The Socrates song 50 Ways, I think we re-recorded that, had 6 different choruses, and we re-recorded that song at least 50 times, at probably 60 plus times.
Can we get
just
in?
Over.
Can we get into that? Because I tell a lot of people that, like, you know, perfection is the opposite of completion. Sometimes, you know, artists who are looking to be perfect and have that song, you know, they'll go back and they'll rewrite it over and fucking over, and sometimes I'm just like, no, you just need to drop the thing and write another song, man.
You're absolutely right, and I like that. There's so many, I think, answers and approaches to that. Certain songs and certain ideas are very ephemeral and freestyle, and it's like off the cuff, and it's just a simple idea. Breathe it out, it's there, done. Like, mwah, kiss it, it's gone. And then certain things are like that song, that Socrates song. It was a song about closure,
Okay.
and it was a song where I'm like, I want to write the ultimate song about closure, like emotional closure in relationships. I almost threw in the death, like closure of like families and life, but I actually had to cut that out. So it was mostly about emotional closure and sexual relationships and emotional.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so I wrote about text messages and waking up alone, and you know, repeating cycles of, you know, having the talk, all these things. So I rewrote it so many times, and I re-recorded it so many times, and so many breaths I changed, and I tweaked words and lines and instruments and little things, and I think it's a Juno Award worthy masterpiece of a song, and I'm ready to like promote it for years of my life. But yeah,
I'll make sure to play
say,
that one. Yeah, I'll make sure to tap in on that one.
You can definitely drop it. But I'm saying all that to say, like, there is a point in time where you do gotta know that, like, you cannot improve the idea, and adding to it might be actually taking away from the final result. And one of my favorite sayings is a Picasso saying. I think he said, "Art is never finished, but it is only abandoned."
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that. You know, like I forget which Kanye album it was, but he kind of changed shit by just like dropping various different versions of the songs over and over. You know, like it came out this way, and then 2 days later it's now these songs have been updated, and then 3 days later these songs have been updated, and it kept kind of growing, you know, week by week or whatever, and not even growing.
Yeah,
that was
The Life of Pablo.
Yeah,
that Life of Pablo
that sounds
album.
right. Yeah.
But and also when he did Stronger on Graduation, there were 90 mixes of Stronger, of that Daft Punk song, and I have like 1 or 2 of the other mixes that are kind of different, but everyone's like, there's 90 different versions of this song. But like when he dropped that song, it became a #1 hit. So it's like,
he
got
it right eventually.
I mean, as an artist, there, you know, you can't live in your head too long. But yeah, I hear you. You gotta shoot the bullet at
I
some
mean,
point.
I hear you too, honestly. Like, I've been both ways. You know, I've definitely got a vault full of songs that are, you know, ones that I'm kind of looking at like, I could release these, or I could just keep working on them forever and ever or whatever. Like, yeah, definitely. I think maybe the difference is that, like, some songs, like you were saying, you have like a more intentional message to, right? If it's a track where you're just doing a bunch of bars about, oh, we got Mighty Rhino joining us. But if it's a track where you're just doing a bunch of bars, you know, kind of braggadocio, or like just typical rapidy raps for the sake of rapping and word plays and stuff, maybe it's a little bit easier to put out without, I don't know, obsessing over or whatever, you know, like, whereas if you actually have a real message that, you know, like you were talking about closure, I think it makes sense that you want to make sure to say it the way you want to say it.
Every word, every syllable, every statement, you want it to be clear, and you want it to have the impact that you originally intended.
Definitely.
And I think that is so far one of the greatest songs I've ever written. A couple people have said they cried while hearing it, and I cried while recording it. I cried recording 5 of the songs on the album. So
Yeah,
I was
powerful.
like, "Whoo!"
That's
Yeah,
authenticity coming through. That you can normally hear that on a recording when there's that much emotion being put into it. Yeah, I can only think of a few tracks, but it's powerful when you hear the guy's voice crack or break a little bit, because you can tell that he's actually feeling it. Yeah, that can make for a great moment on songs. Um, can I ask you how you met the Mighty Rhino while we have
yeah.
him join
I
us here? Maybe
mean,
it seems like.
yeah, sure. I'm happy he's here finally. Yeah, like I was worried about him for a minute, but that's gotta keep. Oh man, we go. Man, I don't. That's the weird thing about hip hop and life and stuff. When people ask me that, they're like, "How did it begin?" And most of my origin stories, I don't necessarily remember the exact day or the exact event or the very first time, but like at a certain point in time, it becomes aware that that person is like family. And after a certain level of repeat events, you're like, yo, man, like we keep seeing each other at this party, or we keep showing up at the same conversation online, or we keep anytime that somebody talks about this rapper, you show up and I show up, like, yo, man, who are you? You're my brother. And
Yeah, I
um
think I know the feeling. I have, other homies in rap that I can't think of the first time I actually met them. Like you say, some event somewhere, probably. The events, you keep running into each other, and eventually the relationship builds up. Um,
yeah, like I he told me that um his first time on stage, I know he should probably tell it better, but his first time on stage, he told me, was a show that he opened up for me and my friend Michael Shazam Wright, who was also on King of Queen Street, and that was the Obia show that we did at El Macombo on Spadina, which is a legendary venue in Toronto, and that was in 2006 or seven, sometime
Damn,
around
I mean,
then.
you nailed it for a guy who didn't quite remember. That was real specific. I think 10 points, man. That sounds
Oh, I
like you
mean, but I
remember.
mean, I don't know how accurate that is. I think it's sometime around then. But yeah, I mean, it's
Well, here's a
just
different thing. When I interviewed Lavender and Tachichi, I thought it was going to be fun to put them on the spot and have them introduce each other rather than me introducing them. So, what would you give for an introduction for the Mighty Rhino?
well, I will I will say the Mighty Rhino is, in Mindbender Supreme's opinion, the most, besides myself,
Disclaimer.
the most dedicated, knowledgeable, passionate, peculiar, and individually unique hip hop motherfucker out there in Canada and planet Earth. And there's very few, there's a lot of clones and very, very kind of forgettable, mediocre people that are allowed to thrive and sell and succeed these days. But my homie, Mighty Rhino, is honestly one of the greatest Canadian hip hop spirits and minds
And
living
voices,
and
his
breathing, and
vocally,
voices
yeah, yeah.
today, vocally living, breathing today. And I'm saying all that too because he's a good human being off the mic and out of the music, which is something that can't be said about a lot of my hip hop heroes who make classic albums and make good music. They're unfortunately not great people after me watching the culture for
Sure, and
40
getting to
fucking years
maybe
of my
meet
life.
some heroes or whatever. Yeah, thanks for doing that. I think that was all stuff that I had suspected about the Mighty Rhino, but not knowing him personally or whatever, it was a better introduction than I could have given for him for sure. I often say that he's one of my favorite voices in Canadian hip hop, and I also give him props that. Of all the drops that have been sent in for After the Smoke is Clear, the Mighty Rhino just like killed the drop. Like it's better than a lot of people's songs are. When I play the drop that he sent me, you know, going into their songs, it's tough to not overshadow a lot of people, because like he went on for like 3 minutes of just listing off AKAs and just like energy, and you motherfuckers should be listening to After the Smoke is Clear, and this is what we're doing. Like, it was a beautiful drop. So I used the hell out of that drop, and appreciate him for doing that. Rhino, are you there? Can you hear us, man? It looks like maybe you're muted. Can I?
Yes, I'm here, as it turns out.
Yo.
Yeah, I was
I
worried
fell
about you. I wanted to stick around and find out. You good, man? Are you okay?
I don't actually know for sure. I fell asleep, and apparently I was talking in my sleep because I knew I was getting evicted from my apartment. But my landlord came downstairs and slipped an eviction notice under my door, which she wouldn't have done in the middle of the evening if I hadn't been behaving strangely somehow. So I was sleeping, and apparently I was talking in my sleep. So I'm just returning to consciousness now, and I assume we only have 6 or 7 minutes left. But I'm here now.
I mean, there's no real time limit. You know, I'm happy you're here. That is
fair enough.
Shitty news, man, about being evicted. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's life. I appreciate that. It's gonna fucking suck for a while because my relationships with my blood family are very difficult, and they're the only people I have to really help me through this. But it is what it is, and you know, knock on wood, I'm still here and doing the best I have the capacity to do, which is not all that great most of the time, but I'm still here, you know, thank God, fuck it, you know.
Wow.
And
welcome.
So,
I'm very glad to have you aboard, and
thank you, my dog. That's very gracious of you. I didn't at all mean to screw this up. Not even close.
No,
we've been having a great talk, the two of us. It's been going.
It's been good. Yeah, no, we were just concerned about you, man. Just wanted to know if you're okay. I reached out a couple of times and just to check in, and I never heard back. But I was like, oh man, what happened? But like, it's all good, and I know you're going through your stuff, and you know, we were talking about our podcast, but I also know that you got some different priorities. So yeah, man, I just want you to, you know, keep your head up, and I hope you make
real
it through this
life
chapter.
Always comes first. You know, that's something I've learned talking to different artists and working with different artists and being an artist myself, is that when shit goes wrong in life, you got to back burner that art. It just is the way that it works, you know.
That's the way of things.
Yeah. So no animosity at all for coming through. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks, Pon. It's good to be here.
Hell yeah, man. Can I ask you, Mighty Rhino, to, I don't know, maybe tell us, like, actually, Mindbender just told us about your first performance being opening for him.
Yeah, that was fun as hell.
Was that when you guys met, or because I had asked him how you two met up?
Well, I don't actually remember the first meeting I had with Mindbender. I feel like I've known Mindbender longer than I've known More or Less. And Mindbender and More or Less are my two OGs of all OGs in the Canadian rap scene. I met Uncle Les, my beloved Uncle Les of the Backburner crew, because he was the original host, in fact, of Hip Hop Karaoke Toronto, which is where I cut my teeth as a performer before I had officially released any original music. And he and I got along very well, and I didn't know his music terribly well, but I decided, you know what, he's an established presence in the scene. Why don't I link up with him? I suggested to him that maybe we might want to collaborate on original music, and he came to see my performance opening for Mindbender, and that's the situation in which he decided that he wanted to work with me because he liked what he heard at that opening show that I did for Mindbender for the Obia project with Michael Shazam Wright in, I believe, the year 2007, 2008. But I'd known Mindbender before that because as soon as I entered the hip-hop community, there he was. And I've been a part of the hip-hop community at least as long ago as my 19th birthday in 2007, but probably a little bit before that. Probably I attended 2 or 3 all-ages shows before that. I know I was at the Jurassic 5 show at the Cool House in, I believe, early 2005. And Mindbender is so ubiquitous and so tireless in making appearances everywhere and uh, making himself so very much part of the fabric of the hip hop scene in Toronto and also in Canada more broadly in many respects.
Absolutely.
That he's absolutely inescapable, and there's no more devoted chronicler of the hip hop scene in this country, and no one who can more reliably be expected to show up in every context at every show, from a Little Brother or Jurassic 5 type jam to Future or Rick Ross and everybody in between. He's seen virtually every major rapper to come through this city. He's at virtually every show. He's had encounters with all manner of other celebrities.
That's true.
Hell yeah.
Pamper, Spike Lee.
So
Yeah.
I
So,
mean,
what I'm
Rhino,
getting at,
you just nailed it, man. I was going to ask you to introduce him as well. So yeah, you're doing that.
yeah, he's everywhere. But it can't really be said without also acknowledging that his music is extremely outre and adventurous and sort of electrifying for being so strange. He's unafraid to pave new paths and cross boundaries, break boundaries, in fact.
And if that's not hip hop, what is, right?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
He's got the spirit of Micah 9 and Divine Styler and Saphir, this sort of, fearless abstract expressionism, and he'll go places that no one else will go. He's been an adult film star and a model. And
I found his Twitter page today.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
I mean, definitely sex positive, and
yeah,
yeah,
he's
definitely a bit of a surprise there on that Twitter page.
He's
you
the
didn't
true
know.
Toronto Renaissance man's.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have forever because I do have a guest that I would hope to maybe do a part 2 of this if we could ever do that in the future.
Very dope.
I would love to.
I'm pleased that we've had this long to talk together. And if Rhino, if you want to stay on for a little bit longer, I'd be happy to talk to you. But
yeah, that works.
Mindbender, if you gotta go, you gotta go. That's what it is.
Yeah, I do. I do got to go kind of soon for sure. I just wanted to just definitely hear that you were okay, Rhino, or find out what happened. So
I appreciate that. The short answer is that I'm not okay. I ain't really okay, but we're working on it. I'm not yet destroyed, and I'll keep plugging away and doing what I can. Hopefully, I'll rise like the phoenix before long.
Hopefully, the hip hop community can help out a little bit out there. I think you've shown a lot of support to the hip hop community. Hopefully, that goes both ways, and somebody out there needs a roommate or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
there's hopefully some miracle will open up, and it's just where there's a will, there's a way. I did want to share a Calgary story though.
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, because I think so. Yeah, I do adult film. I do porn. I own a porn company, Spit Magazine, which I'm rebuilding. I do porn as Malcolm Lovejoy. It's an extension of my hip hop. Pun intended, no pun intended, but it's it really is. I am saying, I'll sum it up by saying I've gone to too many concerts, too many clubs, night parties, events. Everybody's yes, I've seen all these performers, but one thing that I don't like is whether people are rhyming about relationships or not, or rhyming about money or whatever. One thing is, a lot of people might want to go home with somebody. And if you go home with somebody, I don't think it's cool that you have all these progressive ideas about hip hop and anti-government things and anti-police things and talk about your hood and all this next level rhyme songs and all this stuff. And then you treat women like shit, or you treat guys like shit, or you're just some sexual degenerate or an abuser or whatever. And you're a rich, famous, multimillionaire rapper. I've seen that hypocrisy and dichotomy in the culture too much. I've seen too many of my heroes be celebrated for too many good things, and then they treat women like shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sick of this, man. I don't care how rich and famous you are, or how many cars you have, and blah blah blah. You got planes and rock stadiums, and then you, as soon as the mics are turned off, you go home and you abuse your partner, whoever it is,
Yeah.
whether it's a woman or a man or somebody else.
Some bullshit.
So, yeah, exactly, some bullshit, and I don't support no rapper or none of them.
Of course.
None of that. I recently, very quickly, I'm reevaluating my like relationship to NWA, because I heard that really, really fucked up story about MC Ren abusing a 14-year-old girl during the making of the F4 Zagan album in 1991. And like,
Oh, that's
like not
That's some
only is
shit,
it
man.
not only is it a credible, not only is it a credible story, but there is credible proof that some people from the record label spent money keeping the story out of the
Make it go
press
away.
at the time, which is why we didn't hear about it until now. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So like that's happened for countless celebrities in every industry, whatever. And like, I don't care, rapper, comedian, actor, whatever. If I hear the person's a abuser or whatever, I don't fuck with them anymore at all.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm saying like, yeah, I do my porn, and I'm saying all that to say like, the very first time that it was like in 2004, I put out a rap album, and it was just doing my rap stuff. And I had an opportunity to do some male stripping in Fort McMurray and in Calgary. And so I went up, and I was like, hell yeah. I was very sex positive. I always was like, I like women. I like sexuality. I'm kind of the cool Keith of Canada. That's always kind of been my nature. And like,
You can say
so-
that again.
I like
Yeah,
that. The cool
so-
Keith of Canada. Yeah.
yeah, like I've really, it's like I've shout out to Thomas Quinlan, because Thomas Quinlan put out a Cock Dynamics compilation in 2001, and I got a song on there called "Fuck Rap, I Want to Be a Porn Star." Like, I made that in 2001.
Dope. And word manifested.
Damn,
right?
that's
Like,
dope.
I've literally been like thinking about this for 20 years of my life. It's not even so. Anyways, like I was in Calgary. I did the show in Fort McMurray. It was just stripping. Well, just male exotic dancing. And then I went to Calgary, and with DJ Cosm, he hooked me up with a show where I did a show at like 10 o'clock at night in Calgary where I'm rapping as Mindbender. And then at about 11:30, I had a show as Malcolm Lovejoy stripping and getting paid
Same
5
venue?
times as-
You're talking same venue. You left stage, came
not the
back up.
same- not-
Oh, okay.
Not the same venue. I went like down. I don't. It was like this. It was like some horse. It had some horse name or something. It was one name, and it had some horse theme. I think it was a
Okay.
different venue, but it was in Calgary, and I went to another venue, and I was a stripper that night and got paid way more than I got paid at the rap show. But that was the actually very first night, and one of the only times where I was like, "Yo, man, why can't I rap and do porn shit at the same time?" I literally have both performed them at the same night, and it's great. I love this life, and
Well,
here
and
I
it's
am
not
20
like
years later.
anybody expects their rappers to be, I don't know, like squeaky clean. Well, not even like sex is dirty. I don't mean to say it like that, but you know what I mean? Like it's not like anybody expects their rappers to be anything other than kind of crude and lewd and like pushing boundaries and doing things that shock people. So yeah, man, I don't see why you can't be both. That makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a whole lot more to talk about with that, and
There's a puritanical streak in the culture for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
it makes no sense for hip hop to be so like intellectually and creatively innovative, but sexually conservative and repressed, and it ties into the church and all this other bullshit that I don't support or reinforce. So, but
Yep.
yeah, that's another conversation that I can get deeper into in another time. But
Hell yeah.
Rhino, I love you, and I want you
Love
to
you too,
have the
dog.
rest of. I want you to have the rest of this time. I'm glad you got to check in, and yeah, hopefully we can do a part 2 of this, because Omi, your questions are great, and this conversation's been good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate
love,
you
homie.
for coming through.
Be well,
You know-
Mindbender. It's all love. Love,
Yeah,
love, love.
mad love Doobyis, and mad love Rhino, and
Hell
yo,
yes.
Mindbender loves y'all. Hey, yo, just quickly, just find me on social medias if y'all give a fuck about talking to me, because I love connecting. And I'm more on Twitter because Twitter allows me to be nude and
Shout that. You were kind of tough to
yeah.
find. There's several people with similar ats over there. So yeah.
Yo, Mindbender Mind. You can find me on Twitter, and Mindbender Loves You on Instagram. And yeah, honestly, you can just Google Mindbender Supreme.
How about shows coming up before you take off? You got anything to plug there?
No shows that I'm performing at. We're working on.
I guess you did tell me you kind of had fallen back from the shows over.
I'm kind of not promoting much right now, but we're still the album is of course going to continue with the King of Queen Street album. It's timeless, and the concepts are still like shout out Big Tweez, because Big Tweez produced a song called Speaker's Corner, and I'm like, yo, that song's a classic. Like when people take that in, they're gonna just their jaws are going to drop. And there's so many really good Toronto moments and Toronto things on the album that we're going to promote, and hip hop needs it, and it's a good time, and I'm happy that it's been made. So shout out to all the people who are on it and people who helped make it happen, because Rickshaw and Tough Dumpling are fam. So I love y'all, and
much
catch
love.
You next time.
Take care,
Rhino,
homie. It's all love.
Yo, take care, Rhino, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right.
Yes,
Peace.
sir. Be well.
All righty. So, Mighty Rhino.
Yes, what's good, my man? Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for being patient with me.
Of course.
I'm very honored.
Thank you so much for coming through. There is no show without artists to talk to, and I appreciate very much that you and all these other wonderful people come through to talk, and also that you send music and have sent a drop over and genuinely just are a supporter of the show.
There's no reason at all not to fuck with the show, man.
Hey,
it's all love.
Respect, man.
You're a wonderful guy, and the music you support is good, and the music you make is good, and
thanks, bro. Yeah, dude, I wanted to ask. I ask every different artist that I talk to. Can just kind of point blank, can you describe the Toronto rap scene to me?
The Toronto rap scene.
And I know that's a big question, right? Like, just take it whichever way you want.
Of course. Well, it's very vibrant. And there's a lot of artistic ferment, and I think I'm going to go further out and try to encapsulate the whole Canadian rap scene.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because if you want to take in all the best rap music that's being made today, you don't just focus on Toronto, you focus on all of Canada.
Definitely.
But the Toronto rap scene in particular and the Canadian rap scene in general are both highly stratified. There's a bit of a barrier between scenes and movements that are majority black and scenes and movements that are majority white. I'm talking about subcultures and micro scenes within Toronto rap in particular and Canadian rap in general.
I think it's probably pretty national. I stopped going to battle rap things because it was only white people there, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit fucked up in that setting. It's like, is this hip hop still? What are we doing here?
Yeah. My friend Fresh Kills has been very candid with me about that, about feeling as though there's a lot of stratification of that kind. And my friend Ultra Magnus has said similar things. Neither of them have been disparaging, but both of them have just sort of adroitly commented on the fact that there are places where certain white artists won't go and places where certain black artists won't go. And certainly with me, in my career as a performer and also my time as a fan, I've ended up at shows with people like Lou Breeze and Stalin and J.O. Mayers on the bill where it didn't seem like there was much of a white presence. And I've ended up at places with people like Swamp Thing and Word Burglar and many of the Backrunner crew and others of that nature on the bill where it didn't seem like there was much of a white presence. Didn't seem like there was much of a black presence, I mean.
Right.
It's very much the way of things. Mindbender sort of transcends these barriers because his singular enthusiasm means that although there are some places where his music is looked at skeptically, and also some places where his porn is looked at skeptically, there is no place where he's entirely unwelcome.
Right.
Because people trust in his exuberance, and they know that he knows his shit, and they know that he cares too much, and so generally no one constructs barriers to exclude him. But he's one of the only personalities in Canadian hip-hop who's able to transcend all of these divides, and there's still some lingering sexism as well. And
oh, I don't doubt it at all. Yeah, hip hop has been a place that you know, has definitely been home to a lot of you know, people who aren't sex positive at all, people who are downright hateful of you know, LGBTQ community, for instance, or yeah, for male strippers and people like that, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised at all that there's been, or that there still is, you know, people out there who carry a negative connotation to that, which is a shame.
But at the same time, when I sat down a few years ago and tried to list my 50 favorite Canadian rappers, I ended up with a list of more like 70 or 80, who maybe it was even closer to 100, who I thought were good enough that it was important to mention them. And lots of obscure artists, but also lots of talented.
Did you do that over on Twitter? I remember seeing.
No, I did that. I did that on Facebook.
Okay.
Which is where I'm much more active than I am on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm very active on Facebook, not as active on Twitter, and I'm also somewhat active on Instagram, although I used to be much more until my larger account was swallowed by hackers and I had to create a new Instagram account.
Yeah, go to the backup.
Yeah, in any case, the main thing I would want to say about Canadian rap music is that there's a lot of creative ferment, and there's not necessarily a lot of cross-pollination between microgenres and scenes.
Definitely.
But it is true that a lot of good music is being made, and when I know a lot of my favorite music critics and cultural critics don't necessarily like to try to fashion grand narratives. So I know that grand narratives can sometimes be unhelpful, but I sort of enjoy attempting to fashion a grand narrative of the Canadian rap scene. And I like positing a world in which, you know, Skizza and J. Omer's and Roshan and Civilian and Lazeppo and Tragic and Bonshaw and Ultra Magnus and Donnie Yonder and, you know...
Are you doing that off the top of your head?
Of course. Of course. Like all these others, all these important... Tragic, if I haven't said him, he's important. Jay Busy is important to me, certainly. There's a lot of, like... Adam Bomb and Decisive and Shad are my three favorites in the history of the art form in this country.
Did you hear the new Adam Bomb on that Mickey O'Brien single?
He smashed it out of the park, man, and
yes,
so did Decisive.
Every time he talks on a mic, that guy nails him.
He's incredible.
Yeah,
he's absolutely incredible, and he deliberately gives the impression that he doesn't care.
Yeah,
but we know he cares. But it's impossible because it's impossible to write rap music that brilliant if you don't care about writing good rap music.
I agree, but the best lyricists, or some of my favorite lyricists, make it sound effortless like that, for sure. Yeah,
sure,
I agree with you. For
classics, the classic Method Man, Mos Def.
I was thinking like Sean Price, you know, like
sure, him too.
It sounds like he's just like it honestly sounds like the man is freestyling most of his music, and it sounds so effortless or whatever. Yeah, but oh yeah, there's plenty of people like that, for sure.
Sure.
You know, I do appreciate just from like even your online presence. Like we've never spoken before, really. I don't think we've messaged a little bit back and forth, but just from your online presence, I can tell that you are somebody who pays a lot of attention to the hip hop scene across Canada, which isn't necessarily something that all the artists are doing. A lot of the people that I talk to don't seem to know a lot of people from outside of their city, or even from their own kind of crew, right? They'll shout out their like homies when I ask them for other people who people should be listening to, because I ask every artist I talk to, like, hey, can you kind of put the spotlight on some people who you think deserve more light, just to try to get more names out into the conversation or whatever. And you just rattled off 10 off the top of your head, so I don't even feel like I need to pointedly put that question to you, but I will say...
Well, you know what? If you would, I'd appreciate it if you would, because I'll provide a little bit of information about
Hell
the
yeah,
rappers that I'm shouting out.
Let's do it then. Can you put me on to some new rappers, man? Do you think you can beat my knowledge? Do you know rappers I don't know? I love it when people tell me rappers I don't know.
I'm gonna shout out Shad and Annabomb and Decisive, because if we're looking for Canadian rappers, these are the three most important to me, and the three that I think consistently make the highest quality music. Then I'm going to shout out Roshan, because I think Roshan's a beast, and I think the most recent Roshan album with under the Essex Boys name with Noam. I'm trying to remember that album's title. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Wasn't it just called Essex Boys? Or
yeah, I think you're right. I think it was called Essex Boys.
Yeah,
that's definitely a top 10 Canadian rap album to me. I'm going to shout out Mr. E of the Backburner Crew, because I think Dusting for Prince is a rare Canadian classic rap album.
Who of the Backburner Crew?
Mr. E.
Mr. E. I don't even recognize that name, so you definitely got one that I don't know. I mean, I know Backburner, and I've probably heard him on records that are Backburner records, but...
Dusting for Prince by Mr. E is my favorite Backburner album. And I also really like Jay Busy of Backburner. I think he's talented as hell.
So...
and Civilian of Swamp Thing. To me, he's like head and shoulders above a lot of the other rappers he runs with, and he's very talented, and I enjoy every Civilian verse I've ever heard.
He produces as well, does he not, Civilian?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Giza from Saskatoon is someone I'm very close with.
Yeah.
Close homie, and he's an incredible talent, and he puts out music at a furious pace. Bonshaw from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, one of the original OGs of rap music in this country, and rocked with Buck 65 and Howtown projects, and puts it down. And I had the chance to work with him on my single "We Gon' Stomp Shit." Also
Has he been putting out music recently? Like, I feel like I looked for Bonshaw, on the streaming platforms, and couldn't find music recently other than "We Gon' Stomp Shit" and whatnot.
No, but I love the guy, and I saw him live at the $5 Rap Show in Toronto a few years ago, and he blew my fucking mind. And I reached out to him, and I was like, "Let's do this." And it only took he didn't ask for very much money, and he really, like, he's so solid and so dope, and I absolutely love the quality of his rapping. I think he's so dope, and I wish he had a career. I wish I could help him jumpstart his career, because he deserves to be more widely known. He's at least as good as people like Maestro Fresh West, Mishy Me, Thrust, Kish, Chocolare,
Yeah.
And Spec of Dream Warriors is another important Canadian rapper to me, because the second Dream Warriors album, Subliminal Simulation, is as close to a Canadian rap masterpiece as has ever been made. And Spec is a big part of why that album succeeds. Let's see. I mean, Tragic of Philly Moves. He and I are working together on some stuff, and he's a beast.
I'm going to have to go back over this list and press follow on a lot of different artists. I feel like Tragic of Philly Moves. I don't recognize him at all. Is he Toronto based?
He lives in New York now, but he's originally from Ottawa.
Okay.
And I'm surprised you don't know who Tragic is, because Philly Moves were really big for a few years around 2010, 11, 12. And
see, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Until I started doing After the Smoke is Clear, would have been hard pressed to name off, 15 different Canadian artists in hip hop. And I was like a huge hip hop head. I was just, buying American albums and really exploring the American scene and people's back discographies and stuff like that. But
and we haven't delved into American rap yet. One thing I'll say very quickly is my favorite and I'm gonna mention Ultra Magnus and Donnie Yonder, because Ultra Magnus is one of my closest friends, and he to me is one of the most talented rappers in the history of the art form. He would be my number 4 in Canada after Annenbaum, Shad, and Decisive. He's just incredible, and Donnie Yonder would be my number 5. I'm actually secretly in a rap group with those guys called Champions of Everything. We've only put out one song as yet, but
more on the way, maybe.
I'd love that. I don't know how to wrangle that because I accidentally commanded my 2 favorite rappers to be in a group with me, and it's like wrangling old dirty bastard for Wu-Tang Records, because they're not around. Donnie Yonder's a white guy. He's an Italian dude who lives in New Brunswick. Castano's Ultra Magnus's roots go back to Kenya and South Africa, and he's impossible to nail down because he lives in a halfway house in Scarborough, and so I love these guys.
Often, like I was saying earlier, real life comes up, and people's art gets that back burner or whatever. I've seen that so many times over so many different examples and so many artists.
And then back burner, Peter Project, who's a producer in Back Burner, he's super talented. He deserves shouts and props, especially because he's making a name for himself under his government name, Peter Chapman, as a composer these days. And Frank Deluxe and Ginzu and Triplicate of Back Burner are 2 more. Oh, and you can't forget Lizeppo. Lizeppo lives in, I believe it's Pickering or Kitchener or wherever it is.
Someplace.
But he's an absolute beast. Lizeppo is, I'm mentioning mostly white MCs because I'm white and those are the spaces I'm welcome in. But Lizeppo is black, and Lizeppo has a classic pen of the kind that was reared on Rock Marciano and Nas and AZ and Ka. And
you can hear people's influences in their raps for sure.
Yeah. Lizeppo has that just classic, beautiful pen. And I'm actually very excited. Skizza and I are working together on an album called Northern Flavalistic Metropass Music. And we've got a joint with...
is that an Outcast reference? Directly? Or, okay.
Better
you mean
believe
for it
it
to be? Yeah, okay, good.
Better believe it.
It worked.
So
it worked. The heads recognized it.
We're working on that record, and we've got a joint with Lizeppo, Dopey Ziegler from San Jose, who's a dope white Jewish rapper of our acquaintance, and Young Z of the Outsiders.
Oh.
And I'm making a bunch of records with Young Z of the Outsiders because he sort of adopted me into his family, and we're good friends. And I've got records with both of the Sensei and Tame One of the Artifacts. I'm working on a record that's ostensibly going to feature Rodiga, although I haven't nailed her down yet. And I've got records with AG and Prince Poe and Big Mike and Fat Lip and Witch Doctor and Big Rube and Mike and Nine and
damn. Yeah, I see you talk about all these online, and it makes me jealous too, man. But
Young Bleed, I've enjoyed working with Guilty Simpson, Tragedy, Gaddafi, Thurstonell III, Slaughter Rico. I've enjoyed working with very talented motherfuckers.
Legends out there, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I saw last week, and I was, trying to nudge you and be like, send that over. You were in recording with Fresh Kills last week, were you not?
Yes, I was.
Sounded like some real funky stuff you guys were working on. Can you tell us anything about that track?
Oh, I'm very excited about that track. That track is temporarily called Do the Dance.
Sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah, and or Doing the Dance maybe. And that's big up to my homie Jose Jones, Papi Jose. He's a black Italian kid by the name of Giuseppe Aiello. He's about 21 or 22 years old. Skizza discovered him online randomly, and
Do you know
I'm
where he's
buying
based
two
out
beats.
of? Or is he?
I believe he's in Milan.
Oh, okay. So we're going
And
international with it. All right.
by black Italian, I meant a black kid who lives in Italy
In Italy. Okay, dope.
and has an Italian name. So as far as I know, he's a black Italian dude, like half black, half Italian, from Italy, and super dope motherfucker. He's a cool kid. Like, he's been very sweet to us, and he gave me a good price on 2 different beats. And the thing about this guy is he makes beats that sound like vintage DJ Quick and Dr. Dre. Like the he's clearly he's only 22, but he's a student of the spirit of the West Coast. Like,
I should
music.
say so. Like, just to clarify for anybody who's watching the interview, I have only heard a chunk of this song from like a 8-second Instagram story or something, and as soon as I heard the beat, I was just like, oh, that's gonna slam. Once Rhino gets on top of that, that's gonna be dope as fuck. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that one, man. But
yeah, man,
as well as the rest of your music.
I'm still working on the lyrics, man. That's probably gonna go on an album called Our Love Will Be Victorious in the End, which
Nice.
is likely to be the fifth and most recent Rhino solo album. Although I am still promoting the 4th Rhino solo album, which is called To Relieve the Sorrow-Laden Heart.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. When did that drop? That was, I mean, I've played it on ATSIC. I think it was last summer or something, wasn't it?
I mean, it officially it dropped on Bandcamp on August 7th of 2022, because that's my best friend's birthday, and I couldn't wait anymore. But
I think I picked it up on Bandcamp. I do my best to buy stuff through Bandcamp.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It ain't on streaming services yet, because I inked a deal, speaking of battle rap, with Lush One of Snow Cone Records, who's a battle rap eminence grise on the West Coast, and has worked with people like Fat Lip and and Love the Far Side and Crooked Eye and Casual and Raekwon and Sugar Free. And so Lush One reached out to me and decided he wanted to help me release my record, but we signed a contract last August, and it's already this September, and nothing has happened. But he swears that it'll all come out finally on streaming services on this coming September 22nd.
September 22nd. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
That's not far away. That's 10 days from now. Yeah, okay.
No, that's 10 days. Let's hope that comes to pass.
Dope. I'll have to grab another one and play it again and tell people to go check it out.
I appreciate that.
What was the recording process like for that album?
Well, I mean, my story begins with an executive producer named Measuring Man helping me put together my first album in 2011. And then me crawling up my ass for 7 years until I finally managed to turn out my second album in 2018. Turn out probably isn't an accurate phrase, because the album is still pretty fucking good. But the first album was called He Whom the Beat Sets Free is Free Indeed. The second album was called We Will No Longer Retreat into Darkness. And the wait time between those 2 records was 7 years, because I had mental health problems and I couldn't get my shit together.
And since then, you've been dropping projects on the regular, though, right? Like, I see singles popping up on the streaming platforms, on various different months. You've got tracks out. I think I heard one. Well, maybe it was We Gon' Stomp Shit, actually, was the last one that I saw. Is that the last single you've dropped?
We Gon' Stomp Shit's the most recent one, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, since 2018, you've done, what, 3 albums plus some singles?
Yes, 2018, I've done Since 2018, there was We Will No Longer Retreat into Darkness. 2019, there was A Joy Which Nothing Can Erase. 2020, there was an EP called the Royal Falcon EP. And 2022, there was To Relieve the Sorrow-Laden Heart.
Okay. So you also mentioned that you and Mindbender used to host an open mic night together. Or I don't know if it was you
That's
or if
not
it was
true.
Mindbender who mentioned
No,
it.
Mindbender and More or Less used to host open mic together.
Okay. And you used to go to that open mic, or?
No, it was before my time. I didn't know them then.
Okay. All right.
I think they were just winding it down by the time I met More or Less and Mindbender.
Are you an open mic kind of guy? Do you go to open mics?
Yes, occasionally, but not as a regular habit and not as something I'm particularly enthused by.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think different artists have different, opinions on open mics and just freestyling in general. Right?
I'm perfect. I don't like I don't like freestyling. It's not something I'm good at, and it's something by which I'm always made nervous.
Yeah. Freestyling in public makes me incredibly nervous. I like to freestyle with my homies and at a party or whatever, but no. I remember one time they put a camera on me and expected me to freestyle while I was on stage, and that didn't go well. It was a choke moment. That was way back in the day or whatever. But yeah, man. To me, freestyling is like for fun, but I do see a lot of community being built by those kind of weekly nights where you have up and comers coming together and shaking hands and showing what they can do, and I think that goes a long way to build community. Would you agree on that?
Certainly, yes.
Yeah. So,
yes, I would.
Are there? Well, and as well as building diversity, right? We were talking about how there's not a lot of different overlap. Whereas in my experience, when you show up at a cipher, you might get one guy who kicks some conscious rhyme and he hands the mic to the next guy, and Buddy comes in on some real gangster shit or whatever, right?
That is true.
I think it is kind of the type of event that'll bridge those types of gaps. Yeah, and I've never seen any confrontation over it necessarily. I mean, you might get the rap battles breaking out, but ultimately lyricists seem to respect other lyricists no matter what they're rapping about.
That's roughly my experience as well. Shout out to my man Connoisseur Ghost, who I know hosts a dope open mic here in Toronto.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a dope dude right there. And
so there are still open mics going on out there, because Mindbender was kind of saying that it seems like they've slowed down and that now it's more focused on kind of big artists coming through and who can open for them.
They definitely have slowed down. Mindbender is right, but that doesn't mean there's no open mics whatsoever.
Dope. Yeah, for sure.
And the rat race in terms of determining who opens for who. I've never been good at penetrating that bubble.
Yeah, in my experience, like from out here on the prairie anyways, the promotion companies that do it often rely on the like anyone who can sell X amount of tickets can open a lot of the time. So, you get guys saying, yeah, I'll sell 50 tickets. And then if they can't actually sell them, they come up with the $500 and they pay for their spot to open or whatever.
Right.
Is that the same type of hustle you see going on out there?
Roughly, yes. Not always with the same frequency, because we have some promoters who are ethical about it.
Sure.
And some promoters who are not.
Yeah.
But there are very many pay-to-play promoters out here, and there are also some artists who just have enough cheese that they can pay to open if they want, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, I think that that's probably the equation across the board, but I think that that's also why it's really important that we have some knowledge of one another, and that I think it's dope that you actually know different Canadian artists, because like, when it comes down to booking a tour, like I've booked a tour around kind of Western Canada, Alberta, BC type thing, and what I learned from doing it was that you need openers in every city who can bring in a crowd, right? And so part of the equation of ATSIC is like, I want to know everybody in every city who's doing something. You know, like I want to at least know of them.
On that note, I want to mention a few more Canadian rappers who are important,
Yes.
who I've forgotten about.
Hell yes.
I want to shout out my mans, the big homies Throne Thief and Monsoon the Moonsun from Guelph. I want to shout out Emotions from Vancouver. Shout out to Fourth World Occupants. And I can't believe, with so many amazing female rappers in this country, I never shouted out any of the great women rappers.
It's true. There are a bunch.
I did shout out Mishi Me.
Right.
But I got to shout out Phoenix Pagliacci.
Hell yes.
Bomb, Tara Chase, Keisha Fresh, Avaya Mighty,
Lavender.
Nilla, you know?
Yeah.
Pookie G, so many dope Canadian female rappers. Shout out to Noah 23. You know I'm talking about. Let's get into this. I ain't going to look up my list because I don't want to be reading off a list, but shout out to Nish Rocks, Grimace Love, Danny O, YOK, the whole Monolith movement. Them boys is fire.
Where are they from?
The Monolith are from Toronto. Monolith are
Toronto,
one of the OG Toronto crews, down with Hieroglyphics, down with the Boot Camp Clique.
Oh, dope.
Yeah,
see, man, like a lot of crews like that, like OG crews more so. Like I just learned about the Lytics from doing Fly in Formation interviews with people in Winnipeg who were shouting them out. And so, you know, I went and checked out some of their music and it's opened my eyes. And like,
their music is quite good, I think. I like the Lytics' music.
Yeah, dude. And I just...
The Lytics and Mood Rough as well are sort of associated with that area of the country, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking about like Winnipeg's most kind of being popping when it was Frost Gamble I was talking to last week. Shouts to Frost Gamble as well.
That's a good dude right there. I fuck with Frost Gamble the long way.
Hell yeah, man. And dude, beats are just nice as fuck. That guy's production is beautiful and Tone Chop never misses. So yeah, shouts to both of those guys. But yeah, man, I mean... Dude, we could probably talk all night, and we probably should do a second one of these coming up. But we should wind down here at some point because I haven't actually eaten all day, and I've got food sitting in my kitchen waiting for me. So I'm still in fast mode right now.
I need to eat dinner too.
But is there anything else that we need to touch on, man? I feel like
well, I want to make mention of the fact that Mindbender and I are at least going to attempt to start up a podcast called Revolve Around Science. So we'll see what we're able to make of that. Maybe we'll have you on as a guest.
That's a dope name, and I would love to. I think that's the way podcasts work. Anybody who listens to a lot of podcasts will recognize that if you're going to have somebody on as a guest and that person also has a podcast, often you'll then go be guest on their show. So I'm definitely down to come by and talk with y'all.
We'll see what comes of that. And then also I appreciate motherfuckers who might want to check for To Relieve the Star-Laden Heart. For the next 10 days it's only on Bandcamp, but then it's going to show up on streaming services. And I'm at work on Our Love Will Be Victorious in the End. That's coming out soon. Got records with Young Z, Pace One, Big Mike, Raw Digga, Elda Sensei, the late Tame One, God bless him and God rest the departed.
Hell yeah.
You know, making records with Thurston Howell III, Young Z, and Guilty Simpson, Tragedy Gaddafi, Big Mike, Prince Poe, Young Bleed.
Yo, Rhino, I
got motherfuckers.
I gotta ask you, man. I gotta ask you. Something that I have been kind of wrestling with throughout, well, it's a classic hip hop debate, right? Who's the best rapper? Who's the top 5? All of these questions. And I've seen you break out different lists on various social media platforms and break down who your top 5 are or who this or that is. So one thing I kind of want to ask you directly is like, do you truly believe there's a best rapper? Like there's an objectively best rapper? Because in my opinion, it's going to be, there's so many dope rappers and there's a song for every occasion. You know what I mean? There's an album for every occasion.
The short answer is no. But the long answer is that I really don't see like Megaran was discussing who's the greatest basketball player on Facebook a while ago. And I said to him this. I said, look, I believe that Michael Jordan is the best basketball player ever for the same reason as I believe that Rakim Allah is the best rapper ever, and for similar reasons. That is, I strongly believe it, and I don't really even understand or comprehend, let alone accept any arguments to the contrary.
I like it.
And this is true. This is just the way I've always felt about Rakim. I don't think he was always my GOAT, but he's been my GOAT for 15, 20 years because he's just like he laid the foundation of so much of what I hold dear, which is not to say there weren't rappers who paved the way for him.
Yeah.
Cool Mo D, Grandmaster Caz, Tila Rock, Silver Fox.
But lots of points for being kind of the originator of the style that we all know today now, kind of. He really pushed lyricism forward.
To me, like it doesn't make sense to put anyone else in that particular to grant anyone else that particular honor. The crown doesn't quite fit on any other head, in my view.
I like it. I don't think many people who know hip hop would seriously argue anybody who says that Rakim is greatest of all time.
That's not to say, well, his name is Rakim. It's not pronounced Rakim, but Rakim. It's okay. I don't mean to be at all offensive. I'm just when people make that particular mistake, it always makes me like, oh, you gotta make.
Sorry, no. Prince Rakim was the RZA. You're
That's
very
the RZA,
right.
yeah.
I did.
That's the RZA.
Rakim, yes.
I didn't at all mean to be rude, but anyway. So to me, the crown has never quite fit on any other head, but that's not to say there really is an objective best rapper. There are too many other great rappers.
Yeah. I would agree. Any day of the week, I might tell you a different rapper is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My top 10 for the longest time was Rakim, Ghostface, Scarface, Nas, Black Thought, Pharoah Monch, Posthumous, Andre 3000, AZ, and Method Man. But then a couple weeks ago, I was like, well, if you're going to acknowledge that Rakim laid the foundation, why don't you acknowledge that Cool G Rap and Big Daddy Kane laid the foundation?
Right.
Which meant that I had to cut AZ and Method Man, and I was in hysterics.
Well, and again, it's tough to call anybody better than Cool G Rap. Like, are you going to be a better rapper than Cool G Rap? I don't know.
Yeah, but then also I feel the same way about AZ, and it's like, how can you say somebody's better than AZ? Because he's like...
The list is endless, man. How are you going to say somebody's better than Nas? How are you going to say somebody's better than Ghostface? Like, you know...
Redman, Mos Def, Bun B, Big Boy,
on and on and on.
Dude, so many fucking E40, CeeLo, so many fucking legendary kings of this shit. Royal. You should never say. You never use gendered language when talking about this. It was a mistake to say kings. I meant to say royalty.
Word.
Because with royalty, you can also acknowledge Queen Latifah, Bahamadia, Moni Love, Heather B, Rod Digger, Jean Grey, Lauryn Hill, Medusa, 3D Na'Tee. 3D Na'Tee is a beast. Speaking of a new rapper who can really go.
3D
Mia X.
Say again, what was that person's name?
3D Na'Tee. Na'Tee is capital N-A apostrophe capital T-E-E.
Okay. Nice, I'll have to check. That's unfamiliar to me.
The big song that made me a fan of hers was Back to the Block. Oh, and before we go, there's an American rapper who is of roughly the same profile as some of the Backburner guys in terms of how popular he is, or as popular as Ultra Magnus and Donnie Yonder. Okay. But he's so good that people need to know his name. Tribe One from Georgia. There's an album called Malibu Shark Attack from 2014.
Okay.
With the songs Doing It Wrong and Internal Organs on it. Those are, it's a case like Mos Def, Black on Both Sides, with hip hop and mathematics, where it's two of the greatest rap songs of all time on one album. Doing It Wrong and Internal Organs by Malibu Shark Attack are two of the greatest rap songs of all time.
Man, I'll have to check. If you're comparing them to mathematics, then yeah, I'll have to check.
Yeah.
Dope, dude.
We could keep going, but you got to wrap up. It's all good.
I mean, yeah, we should definitely keep going on another one of these, though. Sorry, I'm just like scanning over these questions because I'm glad that I remembered to ask you about like the best rapper alive, because you are somebody who I see having opinions on that. So, like, sometimes you ask somebody that and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, whatever." But you actually can carry that conversation. How's this one? How about tips for writing? Do you got any tips for people picking up a pen to try to write raps?
Yeah, I don't have very many, and they're not always very well thought out or meticulously planned, but I have a few. I know that one of the things I start with is I try to think of the strangest and most memorable words that or phrases that have never appeared in a rap song before
I
or have
love that.
never appeared in a rap song before under that particular guise, like in that particular way. And I try to start with that and move outward from that. Um,
Yeah, I like that, man.
and I
I can
try
tell.
really hard. I also try really hard to think of punchlines. Thinking of punchlines is hard because it just comes to you magically most of the time, at least
Yeah.
in my case. But you want to try to make yourself laugh. One of the challenges that I've been having in writing raps recently is that my rapping, like, I can write 7 or 8 out of 10 bars, like in terms of the quality of the bars. 7 or 8 out of 10 is not that hard. 9 and higher is hard as hell. And I've made quite a few songs that contain bars that, to me, like, they're solid. No one's going to dislike them unless they have bad taste.
Yeah.
But they're still not, like, the bars are not spectacular. And one way to try to get to spectacular bars is when I'm able to make myself laugh. And it's really hard to make myself laugh. It's really hard to, like, think of bars that I think are so clever that it's like, I'm so glad I thought of that. That's so brilliant.
When they do fall out of the pen, though, it does feel like something has kind of just handed it to you. Like, I like how you said that, thinking of punchlines just kind of comes to you, because it does. Sometimes you end up and it hits the paper and then you do laugh at it and it's like, fuck, am I dope? Look at this thing I just I just wrote down here, right? And it does make you laugh. Those are the best bars, man. I agree.
Yeah, I wish, like, one of the guys I think has, like, almost uninterrupted access to this kind of wit and brilliance from his pen, and doesn't really ever write down anything that's at all less than, like, stellar in that way, is Rock Marciano.
Yeah.
Rock Marciano just continually comes up with incredibly brilliant and well put together and impeccably delivered bars about stunting and just being the coolest and dopest and most hilarious motherfucker on the planet.
That's something that I talk about sometimes. I still love gangster rap because motherfuckers are still figuring out new clever ways to say the same shit that's been said over and over again. And a guy like Rock Marciano is a pretty good example of that, I would think. Like,
and you
not
can't
breaking a
mention
lot
Rock
of subject
without...
content ground or whatever, but yeah, definitely pushing the envelope just with word plays and cleverness.
Wordplay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't really mention Rock Marciano without also mentioning Ka, because Ka is like a more subdued and more emotionally wounded Rock Marciano. And Ka is also very brilliant.
I'm not as familiar with Ka as I am with Rock Marciano.
And I would say Adam Baum is one of my favorite examples of someone who has the juice in terms of his pen and will always find a way to say things that no one else would have ever come up with.
Yeah.
This is part of what I love about Shad, Adam Baum, and Decisive. They're my 3 favorites in Canada because they all have a pen where it's like, no one would think to say this way except you.
Yeah. And that's what makes a great MC. At least that's, you need a quotable like that where it's like, he's the only one who would have said it that way. And yeah, and it makes it more memorable. And the other thing is voice, right? Before you joined the call, I was saying that to me, I describe you as having one of my favorite voices in Canadian hip hop. Like, not only are you, you know, I can tell you do put in effort and a lot of effort into the bars and getting them perfect with the word plays and the wide vocabulary and dude, you know, props on your writing skills, but
Thanks, Smith. That means a lot.
Yeah, man. You know, that's the show. I'm here to give people flowers or whatever. People don't get enough flowers, so it is what it is. Just like Drink Champs, I'm here to give compliments out, man. But you know, I think that also your actual vocal tone is very important because nobody's going to mistake you on a record for somebody else.
I do that deliberately, man.
Yeah, well, and everybody should be. Who, you know, who wants to sound unrecognizable on a record? Like, that's, I don't know. To me, that's doing emceeing wrong. If you want to sound like other people on that record, you're doing something wrong. But you know, yeah, props for the originality over the years, man. And you know, I hope that we get another chance to chop it up because I feel like, you know, with both you and Mindbender, I could have talked for several more hours here, and we could have just, you know, discussed hip hop shit for
cheers. That's real.
Yeah, man. So
it's all love, Doobyis. Thank you for your kindness.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate you a lot. Keep tapping in. After the Smoke is Clear is the show, and yeah, you know, I'm playing
Mighty Rhino.
hip hop every week.
It occurs to me that Mindbender gave his social media handles, and I should do that.
Oh yes,
so
definitely.
I'm on Facebook. You can just type in the name Noah, Noah, Good Bomb, Goodbaum. That's my government name, and that's how you can contact me on Facebook. Although if you go to facebook.com/The Mighty Rhino, you'll find my artist page. And then
I'm gonna add your personal one
Twitter,
tonight. I don't think I have that.
Twitter and Facebook, Twitter and Instagram are both at John John Khan Khan the The Don Don.
Right on. Yeah, and people should definitely follow. You are active over there, and they might even get to see, like, you know, a sneak clip from your next studio session or whatever.
Yeah,
if they're lucky. Yeah. But yeah, man, looking forward to hearing more music. And
thanks, Doug. Thank you for believing in me.
Hell
Truly,
yeah,
the Charlatan Heart drops on streaming services on September 22nd, and Our Love Will Be Victorious in the End is on the way. Northern Flavalistic Metropath Music is on the way. Working on shit.
Hell yes. Staying busy. I like it. Props,
Thanks,
man. It's been a great talk. We'll end it here.
Thank you. It's all love. Be well. Bye.
All right. So that was the back-to-back marathon with Mindbender and the Mighty Rhino. Like I said to them, hopefully we can carry on and do another talk with those guys, because interesting stuff to be said, and there's plenty of it to still be said. Skizza, shouts to you for that Prime subscription. If people don't know it, you know, After the Smoke is Clear is the Mix Show. Mixcloud.com/Doobyis is where you could find that. Doobyis.com down there is the hub for everything that I do. Pretty much, you know, if there's a new interview or a new After the Smoke is Clear episode, you'll be able to find that in the post section over on Doobyis.com. And yeah, you know, people can come by if you want to support the show. Come by on Twitch, hit subscribe. If you've got Amazon Prime already, you can link your Twitch and Amazon accounts, and then that gives you one free subscription for a month to your favorite streamer. So it puts a couple bucks out of Jeff Bezos's pocket and into your favorite streamer's pocket, and it costs you nothing more than what you normally pay for Amazon Prime for your free shipping and, you know, TV shows or whatever. But yeah, appreciate everybody coming by and hanging out, and I'm gonna sign out and go get some food in me.